In this video, you are going to hear Mike Keel, a professional bull rider who has been my client. And I'm so excited for you to hear from him and how his experience was with working with me as a hypnotherapist. I can't wait for you to hear some of the things that he shares. It's very interesting. He's super fun to listen to. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hello, I am Haley Willoughby, and this is Mike Keel, and he's one of my clients, and I'm the founder of Moving Forward with Haley. I'm a hypnotherapist, an NLP practitioner, and a tapping coach, and I have had the great privilege of working with Mike Keel. He came in November 15th, and his last session with me was December 13th, and I want to turn it over to Mike so that you can hear the story of what we were able to experience together.
Okay, well, thanks for that introduction, Haley. As Haley mentioned, we only had like 5 weeks to work together. It was a very short time. I'd come to a spot, I've been riding bulls for several years, and I couldn't understand what my reluctance was to do the thing that I love so much. I was falling behind, I was getting hurt every time I got on, and I needed something to turn that clock back to make me feel younger and make me feel like I could still do this. I had no idea that my head was full of lies. It took working with you to break that wall down to get it to the point where I was able to do what I love and what I'm so passionate about and be one of the best in the world at it. So I thank you very much for that.
So what are you so passionate about, Mike? Tell us.
So I've been riding the senior circuit. It makes me sound a little bit old, but I'm okay with that. And very few people that coming on 45 years old are still able to compete professionally, and it is something I love. I've done it since I was 10 years old. My grandpa actually introduced me to it, and it's been something I've been able to turn over to my kids. My kids are also active bull riders, bronc riders, and I'm just very thankful to have had this sport in my life. So when the time came that it was getting hard and I wanted to make a decision to quit, it was hard to let that go, and I knew it wasn't time yet. So I found a little help. Some buddies of mine told me that it was time to seek out somebody in your profession that could maybe take down that wall, and that's what I did. And by darned if we didn't, we tore that wall all apart.
We sure did!
And it was awesome.
When you were searching out for someone to help you, why did you search out expertise of hypnotherapy?
Well, my best friend, he'd lost his mom during rodeo season, one of the real critical times, and he had tried everything, and hypnotherapy was the one thing he was able to do. He had seen a hypnotherapist, I'll call you all life coaches because that's what you
that's
are.
Great.
And he sought out somebody to help him out. He had a couple of sessions, and then he bought their cassettes. That's dating us back how old we are. Yes. So before he got to rodeos, he'd listen to these tapes and he would just meditate. And it got him back to where he needed to be and got him on track. So it was actually him that had the idea that maybe I should try this and pursue it and get back on the road with him, get off my butt and start riding bulls and winning rodeos. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and it takes such an open mind to work with this type of thing like hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming. When you were doing the hypnosis, tell us a little bit about your experience of what that was like. I mean, had you ever been hypnotized before?
I was, but I understand children are going to be watching this program, so we can't discuss that. Okay. It was in Vegas and I was a kid. But it's funny because you have all these interpretations of what it's going to be like and what it's going to be about and what you're going to get out of it. But you only get out of it what you're willing to put into it. And so up front, I learned that basically my diary is going to be wide open in front of you. So keep that in mind, folks. You have to be honest. You have to be honest with Haley, and you have to be honest with yourselves, or else you're not going to get the results. And there were some dark spots that I didn't even realize I had. I was too scared to talk about them. Cowboys are tough. We don't discuss it, but you opened up my diary and you got to read a little bit about it, and from there we was able to make the corrections and get things back on track.
That's great. Okay, tell me what would you say would be the most helpful?
The most helpful part for me was you built me a tool bag. I've used tools my whole life and I didn't have the proper tools. So between the tapping and the grounding techniques, the breathing, which I just found absolutely amazing. With all of that, it put all these tools in this bag that I could carry with me. So I could take these tools with me, and no matter what situation I was up against, I had a certain tool that Haley had given me to pull out and I could use it. One of my favorite ones and one of my favorite memories is the breathing out the negativity, the breathing out the lies and the demons. I was headed to a rodeo and I started thinking, what if I come off this way, and what if I get hurt? What if this happens and my hand don't come out of the rope? What do I do if I'm crippled? And I started doing my breathing, and I sucked all that negativity up, and I rolled down the window and I blew it out the window. And I didn't even look in the mirror to see where they went, but that negativity was gone.
Yes.
So when a little bit of it crept up on me again when we was at the rodeo, I opened the door at the rodeo grounds because I was doing it inside. And I just sat there and I breathed and I sucked in all the bad juju I could get, and I opened the door and I blew it out, and I hurried and pulled the door shut because it wasn't going to find me.
No, it wasn't.
And it went great. I mean, so that's probably the biggest thing, is just learning how to have some me time, how to breathe, and how to get that negativity away from me.
And that tool bag.
Mm-hmm.
That tool bag. And that's what I love, is that we get to teach the tools, the skills, so that you don't have to, I mean, you can come back if you want, but you already have the tools that you are equipped with for life.
Right. That's a very good point, but also there's always the next achievement. There's always the next skill you can get. So being a mechanic for so many years in my personal life, you can always go back to school and you can always get certified for something else. So I'd recommend anybody that did this to stick with it and not just go in for 5 weeks and cram as much as you can in. There's always something more to learn.
Yeah.
So use that 5 weeks, use that tool belt, and be a rock star, but then come back and find out that little bit that's missing, because there's always a little bit of room for improvement. I'm learning that every day.
I appreciate that. I feel like that's what life is all about. We get a little bit better, and then we learn more about ourselves, and then it's like an up level, and then we up level. It's all about progression and
it is
development.
It really is. And the funny thing is we set out with one focus. Well, I set out with one focus. I don't know what your ultimate goal was with me. A pretty soft little piece of Play-Doh here, all kinds of places you could mold me into. But my goal was to get out of my head and start riding bulls again. But with the skills that you taught me in my little tool bag, I have learned that my attitude has changed. I am more optimistic. I'm more positive. It's noticed at home. It's noticed around my friends. It's noticed around everywhere I go that I have that optimism again. And just the blessings that I've had since doing this, with, I mean, whether it be something to do with work, or whether it be something in my personal life, or something that someone in my family's accomplished. I mean, there's so much positivity because I'm not looking at the negative. I was looking at one negative thing in my life, and I went to the negative for everything, and now there's positive everywhere. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. So what would you tell someone who is a little bit apprehensive about hypnosis, or apprehensive about working with someone that goes into the subconscious mind and helps with that? How this might be a little different from talk therapy? What are your thoughts?
Okay. For those of you at home, I guarantee you Haley is not going to make you bark like a dog or walk around like a chicken or any of that stuff that you're probably thinking that's what hypnotherapy is. You've all seen it on TV. That's what a hypnotherapist does. They make us do weird stuff. Haley also makes you do really weird stuff, but it's pulling out what you have and what your potential is, and it's using it. It's realizing what your potential is, and it's running with it and being the best you that you can be. And that's what I feel like is working, and that's why I'm not going to quit coming back, because I need that little tune-up. I want to be the best I can be, and there's always that little bit of room.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
A lot of people are going to think that there's no need for them to seek help for things that are going on in their head, whether it be depression or whether it be being a pessimist, whatever. There's never room in a person's life to take care of their mental health. And it is by far one of the most crucial things we can do, because our mental health, as you've shown me, it makes our body react. So this is going to sound really silly, and I promise I'm not being paid for this, but whether it be weight loss, whether it be motivation to work out, the ability to chase your dreams, balance was a big thing I struggled with. As you know, I couldn't even stand on a 4x4 without trying to fall off of it.
Right.
Because my body told me I'd get hurt. There's so much more that hypnotherapy and the techniques that Haley can teach you, I mean, firsthand. There's so many more uses for this, and I'm sure for an added price she will let you bark like a chicken if that's what you really want. but no, there's always time to get the help we need, and I hope everybody realizes that. It was something for me to get over, to realize that my mental health was important enough to see somebody that really cared and could put in the time, and I'm glad I did. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's wonderful. So your open mind, that is key, right? Like
It
you
is.
have to have an open mind to this.
Yep.
And then you get to trust and have that rapport with me, and then all possibilities happen.
Yep. And that's exactly it. The trust, the learning the voice, getting comfortable with the voice you're going to hear. That stuff is important, because the first visit you probably are just waiting for that moment that you're told to bark. And you build that trust and you build that friendship, and you realize that your coach has the same goal in mind. And by golly, it like second visit, it's like I'm coming back. I'm definitely gonna follow this through, because it was starting to work. As soon as I got done with the second visit, that's when I really started noticing that.
So you noticed with the second visit.
It's not a one and done thing, and there's no magic word that's you don't get hypnotized, and everybody's gonna think, well, if I get hypnotized and every time I hear the word bounce, I'm gonna be able to jump 6 feet. That's not the way it works. But after a couple of sessions, you realize that if I work at it and if I clear everything out of my head, I can jump 6 feet. So, and you got the reassurance and the backing of a good coach to do that. So that's what I would say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
This has been wonderful to just visit with you and share with our audience that I really am the real deal.
Absolutely.
And I care so much, and I want to help you achieve your dreams and your goals. And Mike was able to be a national finalist.
Yep.
Right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm in contention for the world this year, and it's been a couple of years due to surgeries and stuff that I've been able to compete, and by golly, we just come out hard and come out swinging and using grounding techniques and tapping if it gets real stressful, and it's working. And I swear by the end of this rodeo season, you're going to see everybody at national finals, and I'm going to be doing tapping with everybody to get everybody grounded and where they need to be to keep them calm. So yeah, it's going to be a good year. I'm really excited to see what happens with it, and I'm really glad I got a tool belt.
Yes.
Yep.
You have an awesome tool belt, and you were amazing to work with. Thank you for being so open.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for getting me opened up.
You're so welcome.